Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Hot Seat with Host. I'm your host, Kishore. I'm the founder in residence with MindPixels Solutions, providing solutions in augmented reality and virtual reality. In today's episode, we'll be diving into Mind Gym with an inspirational coach, founder of Sigma Intelligence, Suja Harish. So let's welcome Suja. Welcome to the show, Suja.
Thank you so much, Kishore. First of all, thank you so much for inviting in this platform. I'm super excited already.
That's great. Let's dive in.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Sigma Intelligence, how did that journey begin?
It's a long story. I'm sure this podcast would not be enough to talk about it, but, in the essence of the time, Sigma Intelligence actually came with the concept that when you are ready to do a disruption, which is by nature my second nature, I found a lot of gaps in the entire corporate world. I come with 18 plus years of experience handling people development in different roles, HR or sales, or different organizations that I work with. Throughout the journey, I did see there's a big gap when it comes to learning application.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely very grateful for the companies that I work with that help me with the experience. However, I think there's a time when you know that you need that freedom to, leverage and work on your ideas. And that's when Sigma came in.
So basically, you're like Doctor Strange wearing a cape and, creating that talisman and opening up the spells and all in people's mind.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I always wanted to do, something different from what is already there. We get to see a lot of conventional way of learning. Mm-hmm. And we still see the problem. Yeah, we see that there's no return on investment. You see there's no learning application, but still we are continuing working on the same set of, tick in the box ideas. And my concept was to disrupt that and bring a new approach to the learnings that we have.
Interesting. That's interesting. So, one thing I have, not just me, but many people would have noticed that in this fast growing world, I would say fast running world, okay, where everybody is competitive, maybe with themselves as well. I've seen this particular syndrome, which is called imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Everybody is maybe willingly or unwillingly getting into that. So, I'm sure that you have come across many clients or many sessions during your workshops like this. So how do you handle those situations, or how do you handle those people?
Apparently, the funny part is that regardless of which level you are in, right, as a human being, you tend to get into that shell of imposter syndrome. It's more about doubting your own capabilities, even if you're doing amazing. To be honest, I did through this journey, right? When I even started Sigma, there was a time I knew my ideas are amazing. It's going to disrupt the way learning works. But still, there was a time period where I got into imposter syndrome, because what happens is when we stop looking inward, that's when this syndrome kicks in. Mm-hmm. You focus a lot on external world, how things are, how people are. We have this concept of only looking at the good side, especially when I talk about entrepreneurs. People get very fascinated the moment you say that you are an entrepreneur. Nobody looks at the journey that you go through. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's true.
And hence, this imposter syndrome is something that you have to be watchful for. And I think your ability to stay resilient and self-aware is the only key to get over the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so that requires a lot of patience.
A lot of effort. I think it's more about self-reflection. If you have your habits that determine that you go back and self-reflect it's more like a disciplined approach. Mm-hmm. And me coming from a background of defense, because my parents were in the defense, I knew how discipline works. Mm-hmm. And if we can have fancy ideas, for example, like, in the beginning of the year, we all come with our resolutions that this year I'm going to lose my weight or whatever. But down the lane after 1, 2, 3 months, that fire just goes off, right? That's because you're not disciplined. Mm-hmm. Motivation stays only for a limited period of time. It's a discipline that actually holds on for a longer time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, now you go back and think about in childhood why people used to say you have to be disciplined. It's more about making that foundation strong for you.
So do you think that, you mentioned that childhood discipline, that's entirely changed. So you think it's been drastically affecting the new generation?
Yeah, I have a lot to talk about new generation because see, they are fire. They have a lot of potential. They are currently in an era where everything is available for them. Unlike people like boomers or millennials who didn't have so much of exposure to things. So using the right amount of what is available is also crucial, right? Even the discipline. When we speak about, especially when I speak to parents or when I'm doing sessions on the digital aspect of it, digital well-being, parents fail to put a limit to what is right, how much is enough, and how much is not enough. That determines that child's further understanding of, putting a disciplined structure to them. So there's a lot. I mean, especially when it comes to teenagers, they don't know what is right. Even personally for us, if we actually sit in social media, have you noticed that you actually spend you just wanted to quickly have a check on something? Ideally, you're supposed to spend 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. But after 2 hours, you realize, oh my God, where the time went.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because you are definitely not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because right now the situation is just like you mentioned. We never know that the time is running up. But the moment we step aside or keep the cell phone aside, just to relax for a bit, we have that itch behind our back.
Absolutely.
Okay, you might have received some notifications. You might have someone might have sent an important message, but deep down, you didn't receive any message, but you have that itch. So how do you help people to control that itch or scratch that itch?
Thank you so much for asking that, because this is something called as, and again, whatever I bring to the table is something that I have experienced and conquered it. And so I can proudly say that, hey, you know what, this works. And when you speak about the itch factor, you actually have to go a little bit back. I don't know if people have read Atomic Habits. And that's a book I always refer to when I fall apart, when I'm not able to achieve things. I go back and revisit what is good, what is not. In one of that, in the book, there was a concept that was speaking about the kind of environment you create to work.
Yeah.
So you need to really understand what really triggers you to get into that mode. What is that itch? What is triggering that itch? If you are able to understand that, then it's easier to. So for example, I know that if my phones are around me, there is a tendency that I would eventually, because I have trained my mind that every now and then, it's more like an addiction, isn't it?
Yes.
That you crave, it automatically calls you, why don't you see what's the notification? So for me, I knew that it is the space that is making me go ahead. So what I started doing is I purposely, have set a specific idea saying that I'm not going to keep the phones around me. If I'm going to work on something very, very important that really requires my attention, I keep my phones aside and it might be in a different room, silent, ensuring that if there's a fire that's going to break down, of course, that is an emergency. But apart from that, there's nothing else that is going to stop me from focusing on it.
Nice.
Setting a specific time. And you can't do this change in one day.
Yeah.
That's small little changes. Like probably in the beginning, you say that, for 10 minutes, I'm not going to touch my phone. I'm going to keep it aside, right? And you come back, do your work. After 10 minutes, go back. It's okay. You cannot change yourself so it's small little changes. It's called, so there's a concept that I worked with in one of the companies. It's called Kaizen. It's a Japanese term. It speaks about continuous improvement. And it is not just, it's not a magic wand, right? You do something and suddenly you change. It is small little efforts. So something like this, if you have an itch, think about what is triggering, what is that you want to see, what is the purpose, what is the outcome? And it goes back a lot to self-awareness.
But doesn't all come back to persistence? Like persistence is the key, right? I mean, doing these things, even for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, you have to keep on continuing or doing that on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
But if you break the chain, it affects the entire, whatever effort you've put in. So do you think that persistence is actually important in this?
Absolutely, 100%. But apart from persistence also, it's more about, there are lots of habits. We are habitual people, right? Every day in the morning, we know there are certain things that we do unconsciously, which is right. And I think for me, this understanding came in when I first read the book, The Power of Subconscious Mind. How do you really educate yourself I'm a true believer of manifestation, visualization as well. And there are lots of bits and pieces you put together to become the person you are. And of course, perseverance, or your ability to stay resilient, saying that no matter what, I'm going to be determined achieving this. Having a set goal in front of you that says that this is what I want to. There are many times where you will fall apart, regardless. But do you show up for yourself if you're promised? Yeah. Right. So there are a lot of habits, starting from morning, you decide what you are going to conquer today. We all have a wish list, right? We create a to-do list. Have you ever gone back and looked at your to-do list? We have like 10 to 20 things that we want. And trust me, we don't achieve any of it, right? So this is where I look at the 80-20 principle of, the 20% of the work that we do is where the 80% of the impact comes in.
Yeah.
So think about when you're even creating a to-do list in a day, that these are the core 3 things that I want to achieve. The rest of it, if I get the time, if everything is favorable, I would, do it. So there are a lot of concepts, and that's why I say self-development, or when I talk about these learning, especially when it comes to human skills and educating yourself with these kind of skills is super, super, super important. We take it for granted.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the 80-20 rule just not just applies to only mental health. It also applies in the physical health, day-to-day work activities, even if it's corporate work or personal work or anything, even for kids for study as well, right?
Absolutely.
But again, like people need to be aware how to plan accordingly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've been helping a lot of people in the corporate industry, right?
Yes.
So one thing everyone talks in common is about stress. Right? So if a person is working, or if you see a person who's really stressed, you can understand that he's working in a corporate industry. Right? Either he's in a sales department or maybe engineering department. But again, other departments do follow these stress as well. Yes. But comparatively, you can see that these particular department people have more. So do you think that work stress is the only key that has been affecting their productivity, or is there any other factor that adds on this particular stress?
So when I do the sessions on stress management, one of the key thing that I ask is, do you really know what is stress? Right. So there are different types of stresses, right? The good stress or the bad stress. The good one is called eustress, and the bad one is called distress. Right. So eustress is nothing but the little butterflies that you get. So for example, I was coming for the podcast. I was excited that our mind could read it as little stress, right? But it's for the good and it's short-lived. But the long-term stress is which we do not actually try to understand. We don't recognize that, right? And for every little stress, there's a trigger. And I associate the time management that we have versus stress management. There's a correlation to it. If I'm not able to manage my time according to what the task I have in my hand, I'm definitely going to get stressed.
Correct.
Right? Correct. And again, it goes back to your habitual way of doing things. Second, how much clarity do you have? So when you spoke about goal setting, I really speak about, have you really taken 5 minutes? We actually have 24 hours. We all have 24 hours. Successful people do give that specific time. The me time that we speak about? People misunderstand me time also. But it is very, very essential to take some time for yourself in order to set your entire day's journey. And so, because we do not plan our days or the months or the years in the right manner, we end up in these stressful situations.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And so coming back to your question, say, for example, I'm a salesperson. Do I know what my priorities are? Do I know what my goals are? Am I clear of what I want to achieve? Right? And what am I really doing for that? Have I segregated in simple terms? There are so many tools. For example, Stephen Arkavy's The 4 Matrix, the 4 quadrants, just speaks about what are the things that you can do now. It's more like firefighting. Most of the time we are in the firefighting, the first zone. The second zone, which is where the productive aspect of it, the planning aspect of it, we all are supposed to be. Unfortunately, none of us stay there. We are always in the first box. There's a way you can delegate many tasks. There are some times where you can really understand what tasks fall under. You don't even require to be present doing those activities.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So it's more about everything, like in a very simple term. How self-aware are you in terms of what are the activities you've planned for the day. I believe you are the creator for your life. What I created yesterday is my presence today, right? What I do today becomes my tomorrow's future outcome. So you create. What I am today is my own creation. It was my own decision to take part in XYZ things, to join a company or to get married or to whatever. These were all my decisions.
It's all manifestation, right?
It's all manifestation. We are like, so I do believe a lot in manifestation, and I'm a constant learner. So I look at whatever helps me become more powerful. And I know if I would have spoken about it 10 years back, I had no understanding of who I was, right? It really took time for me to understand. And I know when I started understanding, I started manifesting what I really wanted.
I think, at least 95% people, I would say 98% people still search for this answer. Who am I? Or what is my purpose?
Yes.
Right? They do, their daily chores, the daily work and all, but still they're not able to define what their purpose is or what their truly existence values to others or something. So how do you help them to achieve this or make them self-aware about, letting go of their ego or, focusing on their future or something like that? How do you help them?
It's very interesting because if someone is open to learning, if someone really is in search of, because I have seen different kind of people. So I do my individual coaching sessions as well. So there are some people who really have a fixed mindset. They don't want to change their concepts about certain things, but still they want to achieve success. And for them, success is getting $1 million.
Yeah.
So having the understanding of what are you trying to even achieve, how realistic it is, right? Even apparently, it's more of wishful thinking, right?
Yeah.
That has to be further decoded. So there's so much, and that I cover in many sessions, especially when it comes to mindset and growth concepts that I put in my programs. But talking about who am I think there's never an exact answer because every day you're actually learning and growing and becoming, what best you are. I'm not what I was yesterday. Today I have got new experiences and I discovered, I was not meant for this. Probably I was meant for something more. I started into sales. I started my journey with sales. I always knew at the back of my mind, there's something else that is calling. There's a different impact that I wanted to create. I was very good with connecting with people. I was very good when it comes to reaching out and helping or advising, and it was good that I was able to connect with people. And gradually that desire, that keen interest, saying that what else can I do? What more can I do? The thirst to learn, I think that led me to where I am today. And, eventually you'll find a way. Trust me, Kishore. You would definitely find a way if you are really, really looking for it.
So finally you found your calling card.
I love what I do. I am, you should really see me when I'm in a platform where I'm addressing people. I have a different fire, different energy. And by the end of the day, even if it is a long day, I go back super satisfied and content saying that I've taken the box, I've done what I wanted to do, right? It's a different achievement, especially when I do coaching sessions, when I see that aha moment in somebody's face and it's like, oh, now I know what I'm supposed to do. That is like satisfaction. That is super satisfaction.
That's true. That's true. I agree. So what is that one simple hack which you can advise to our viewers? Like maybe a simple hack or a workout, not taking much time. Okay, maybe that which can be done while they're working as well or at home or anytime to get rid of that stress or maybe letting go of that ego. Because working in the corporate industry, I'm sure that everybody goes through this process, right? Maybe the managers, they might be good, but they want to show off as a leader so that their subordinates can work accordingly. They just simply shout, not meeting the targets or something. So what is that one particular hack which anyone can use, just to let go of that stress or ego or anything?
So there are two parts to this question. So one, when you said the managers who shout, we have a leadership program that we ran and we speak about how to really give feedback and coaching, right? And there's a lot of impact. Most of the time we end up, I think it comes from the background, your upbringing as well. Most of the time we are shouted as, it's more of shameful, it's shaming. People shame you. And that kind of a habit is adapted by the managers that you're speaking about. Probably their upbringing had been like that you have to be shouted to correct. And they try to implement that, right? So probably we can talk about the managers in one of the sessions and how they can be better.
Sure.
But especially if you are getting shouted at. I just probably want to give an example on that. Okay. So when I was living I was working in a corporate sector, there was a manager who was super micromanager. Right? And they used to give feedback to every little thing, the micro little aspect of it. And so there were different people in the department, in the team. There were few who actually make a group, then they talk about, hey, this is what it is, it's not good. And, it's more about gossiping. I chose a different mindset on it. I started thinking about, why is this person speaking the way? What work is it impacting? So rather than looking at the person as such, I kind of removed the person from the sequence. And I only focused on, what is the feedback all about? How is it impacting me? Right? Is it for my good? So apparently my work was looking good just because the person was giving me a feedback. So instead of me getting upset, I started using this person as my second checkpoint to make sure my work looks good. A little mindset shift. However, if you reach a stage where people are shouting at you, I think, and again, Kishore, this is where I become the rebel me. I said, I have not signed a contract with anyone in this world saying that I'm your slave and you can treat me the way you want. It's my life. I have my own rules. What works for me, works for me, right? So sometimes you need to be self-aware and stand up for yourself. And especially I say this for women. Apparently, we don't understand the power of what the women hold.
Yeah.
The self-awareness. And I'm sure the day we all wake up and understand the power we hold, I'm sure the world is going to be way, way, way amazing.
I agree with that. Yeah. So I think what you mentioned right now, what I can understand is, instead of people, especially in the corporate or any other, focusing more on the PowerPoint presentation, they should rather focus on power pauses.
Yes.
I think I need to trademark this particular statement.
Yes. Yeah. It's all about the way you look at it, right? It's just the mindset. And that's where I come into the picture where I said that I wanted to be someone who can actually show them, guys, it's just a matter of changing the way you look at things.
Yeah.
We get offended very soon, right? Oh, why? The person is shouting at me, or the person is treating me this way. But we don't really go down and really see what made the person behave the way it is. What was the correction? So it's more about self-reflection. And it doesn't take anything more to do. And we speak about being an emotional intelligence coach. I always say, the power of pause is so powerful. We react. You need to learn how to respond.
Yeah, that's true. Because you mentioned that, it's how about people's thoughts. I mean, they can shift their mindset and all. So there are two kinds of people who would say the glass is half empty.
Yes.
The other set would say the glass is half full. So it's all about mindset, right? How they see the thing.
Absolutely.
So they have the power to choose, but most of them, they prefer to go with the emptiness.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's true. So you conduct a lot of workshops. So has there been any situation wherein you met with particular person and, it was an interesting scenario, maybe first time for you dealing with a scenario like that? How did you shift that person's life, and, how was your experience?
In terms of...
during a workshop, you meet a lot of people.
Yeah,
so any person who just approached you, shared certain problems and all, and you sat with him or her, to understand what exactly can be done, or where the problem is, what's the root of the problem, and you just help him or her.
Absolutely. I mean, there have been lots of it. So that's why I was recollecting. So recently, probably I'll talk about the recent one of these sessions I was working on, mainly related to negotiation. And it was more about, how do I deal with people who are more powerful than me? right? And my only question was to that particular person was like, how did you determine that they're more powerful? Right? Apparently, what happens is we give a lot of power to the other person and we consider ourselves, we don't even work on us. So it's more about, the only trick is go back inward, saying that what are your top strengths? What has been your biggest achievement, right? What makes you par with what you bring? What is your uniqueness? Because apparently Kishore is unique, Suja is unique. We all have our uniqueness. Rather than undermining our own uniqueness and talking greatly about others, which is a good thing, but I think it's more about going back and reflecting at yourself. So when I was speaking to this person, I said, the way you determined the other person as powerful, can you go back and do the same exercise for yourself and say, how are you powerful? And trust me, when they started thinking, it's like, oh, I actually have this achievement. I've done this. I'm amazing at this particular skill, right? So it's more about going back and doing a little self-reflection, saying that, what are you amazing at? Because if you start comparing yourself with others, trust me, you'll not reach anywhere.
So, in short, in order for self-reflection, if a person is able to answer 3 questions about themselves, like what, why, and how, so that would be the answer for clearing their path.
It's more about and there's a lot of exercise, Kishore, that I personally do. So when in my in my individual coaching, I do a lot of templates where I sit with them and I take them through a proper understanding. Where do you stand right now? Where you want to achieve? Apparently, our biggest concern is we all fear uncertainty, right? Nobody knows. That's the common fear. And there's no answer to uncertainty. What is the answer is, what can you do next? The immediate next, right? Or where you want to reach, right? So for me, it is more about when I sit with somebody, I actually talk about what is that you're trying to achieve. Do you have something in your mind that you want to achieve, right? For example, I want to be a better speaker, for example, a very simple exercise, right? Then we talk about where do you stand here today, right? What makes you think that you are not the best, right? And we kind of analyze that gap. See what else can you do? And this is what I put my hat of the L&D, HR L&D, and I speak about, how can you really break it down and create your own development plan? What are the small little things that you can do, right? Sure. To upskill yourself. And you learn every day. If you are able to find learning in every aspect of it, nothing like it. Like even today, I say that I'm learning. Like I'm definitely not the perfect. I haven't yet reached the highest potential that I have. Every day I add something to the kitty. So it's more about doing a self-reflection. There are new habits that I have actually added to. I am a hardcore diary writer. And I do ensure that by the end of the day, I do self-reflection, saying that what is that one thing that I've done differently? If I haven't done anything differently today, I've absolutely wasted the day. Right? Yeah. And it is intentional exercise that I do to bring myself back to the ground and say, hey, you know what? Sit down and see what you have done. The new habit is journaling, especially when you spoke about stress, right? One thing is that why do we get stressed is because we actually add up loads of thoughts, the number of thoughts that we have in our mind. Yeah. Plus the kind of content download that's happening every second on your social media. We are actually harming ourselves to the core. So it is really, really necessary that you take that stress out in the form of journaling that I do. So if at all I feel that I'm getting stressed, I just go back to the book that I have and write it down. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling? You actually take that absolute load out and pour it in the book, and you feel at absolute peace. So yeah, these are small little things that, that determines what are you doing to your life.
Do you think that, one of the main reason of this particular stress is like people are looking for appreciation, or they have their own way of, they create a script inside their mind, right? They rehearse that. Even for a presentation also, people will be just practicing before presenting it to the client. But again, personally, many people, they might be rehearsing certain script with people whom they have never met. Like they might be wearing a new dress. Okay. So they'll just imagine that when they're wearing it and roaming around or maybe walking down the street, people are admiring it. But when they walk and nobody is noticing, they start feeling awkward. The stress hormone starts releasing.
Right.
So do you think that people should let go of that and care more about how they feel and rather than getting approval from others?
Absolutely. That's a lovely statement that you actually put across. There's something called expectations, right?
Yeah.
In generally, especially for the presentation, as you said, we all have few aspects of it. So I'll first speak about expectation. It's like, I have no idea what the other person is even thinking of.
Correct.
But why am I building it on?
Yes.
Right? So generally, when I do the presentation skills sessions, I actually say, okay, everybody's given a task to come and do the presentation. And everyone who comes there to do the presentation is thinking that everyone is looking at me. They are actually assessing me, my looks, my body language. Trust me, everybody is busy with their own life.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So I think we need to really uncover the fact that nobody is interested in your life, dude. It's your life and everyone is running their own. Like I'm speaking to Kishore right now. And at the back of my mind, I have my whole checklist saying, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm not even interested in what Kishore is doing or how. Apparently that expectation has to be clarified. You need to be aware that no one is interested in your life.
Yeah.
It's you who has to be working on it.
That's correct.
That's one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is when you said, right, when they have this expectation saying that I'm going to wear a good suit and walk and people are going to do, create a visualization around it. Okay, so for any session that I go for, one day before, so most of the time I go to events where I have never seen that stage. I've never seen that platform. The best power that I give to myself is one day prior, I go back and visualize. And I think our brain is so powerful. We haven't really seen the power of it. You actually can visualize saying that what you are doing, not what the surrounding is looking like.
Mm-hmm.
So I always visualizing that I'm going to the stage. I'm super excited. I'm super happy. I'm talking about everything with absolute enthusiasm and people are really appreciating. And towards the end, I get a round of applause. And absolutely, my brain works that way. So it's more about, I say your brain is like a taxi driver, yeah? You tell where you have to go, it'll take you. So you need to be very specific of what you are going to be doing it. Don't expect others to behave the way you want.
True. Did you visualize this podcast?
Absolutely. I have. And this is my manifestation, Kishore. This is something that I have manifested some time back. And if you actually come back and look at my books or the walls that I write, I have written that I want to be a part of podcast some time back. And it's happening. So I go back to the statement I said, right? You are the creator of your life. And I'm happy that it's another tick in the box that I did.
So when you start your TEDx shows, okay, just remember that we had this session. Just remember
TEDx is in my list, absolutely.
Just remember this conversation and just try to recall that you had this conversation with Kishore and Kishore.
This is very special, Kishore. This podcast is definitely very, very special.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's come back to your workshop sessions. So do you only do for corporates or do you also conduct for individuals or maybe education sector as well?
Yes, I'm actually open to. So I haven't restricted myself to a specific audience. I keep it open. So I do especially women empowerment aspect of sessions. I do mental well-being sessions online as well as offline. I do go to schools and speak about resilience, especially with the teenage level of it. Hardcore corporate, where I speak about micro learnings and how that can be attached to your current work life, because I spoke about disrupting the current learning structure that we currently have. So it's more about micro learning approach that I have. But my signature move is the Sigma support that we keep after the training happens. So that is where we come in. And individual, of course, apart from these small seminars that we do, we also have a lot of coaching sessions that embed.
Got it. So how can our viewers approach you?
There's a lot of platform that they can approach. Number one, of course, if they can reach out to our website, that is www.sigmaintelhub.com. I am in Instagram as well with Sigma Intel Hub. And I have a YouTube channel as well, that is @coaching_bits. And I speak a lot about whenever I get this fire saying that, no, I think I need to approach a larger audience. And there's a thought that is coming, especially after any coaching session, I get some idea. I said, okay, if this person has this problem, I'm sure there are many who have the similar problem. So I do reach out through my YouTube channel.
That's great. You mentioned that you keep journals and you're a person who is interested in writing diaries. So at the end of every month or maybe end of every year, do you go through all these journals that you have written and take a look back how it was and how it's now?
Yes. There are certain times when I actually look at it. Apparently, so it goes back to the emotional intelligence and behavioral coaching that I've done. There's something called as you can actually trace your pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally trace your pattern. If you're doing it constantly, if you're writing your journal constantly, you can actually find a pattern of your thoughts, right? So if I've been writing my journal for a month, if I go back and reflect, I'll say one day I was like this. This is what my thought process was. These were my actions. This was my reaction. The other day I was like this. So you literally try to see the pattern that you yourself are following. And then you would say, in these scenarios, this is how I behaved, right? So it is more like and you have to be really candid. Like it should be a personal book, right? You really can openly write it. And there's no specific structure to it. What do you feel? Why are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What made you feel that? So if you just pour that out and keep a track of it, you can always go back and see your real. So if somebody has to really know who truly I am, you can just take my journal and you will get to see.
Are they hidden?
Yeah, I've already said they know the consequences of touching that.
Okay. So, there are a lot of people, especially women, who want to come out and do something on their own. Previously, you mentioned that starting something on their own, it's not just a dream. There is a lot of hurdles to cross, which nobody talks about. So what is your advice to people like them?
Especially if they are looking at an entrepreneur journey, and I think it's my learning that I want to share with them, is that when you want to start your entrepreneur journey, you're super passionate, right? Sometimes reality gets hidden when you're too passionate, right? Mm-hmm. Do your reality check before you go for any kind of a journey that you're looking at, right? Have very, very specific self expectations, right? Don't build don't wear your pink glasses and think everything is rosy. It's not. You have to be aware that there are times when you will absolutely go under depression. You would have the imposter syndrome that I was speaking about. Yeah. Things will not go the way you want it, right? So there are many things that you would have to keep in mind, but I think it's more about building up yourself to tackle those. So for me, what really helped me was my ability to stay resilient. I was always sure that my uniqueness that I wanted to do, like the bigger purpose that I wanted to, that always was my hook to bring me out into. So if anybody is looking at an entrepreneur journey, they really need to know what is really unique about you. Because in this world where every person is looking at starting their own journey, right, you will get lost if you don't know who you truly are.
Yeah.
So my humble opinion and request would be, know who you truly are and what is that you're trying to, and keep very, very, very realistic, practical approach to it.
Okay. So, but all these people who have this dream, they would be manifesting it as well, right?
Yes.
But they would be visualizing it like they are being appreciated, or they're getting a lot of applause, standing ovation, or maybe whenever they are presenting or they're becoming a big shot. But do you think that that visualization is actually going to help in the initial stages, or they should start visualizing on how the journey should be?
Absolutely. So there are many aspects to it, right? So when you do visualization, I told you that there's something called as wishful thinking.
Yeah.
We need to know whether it's a wish or is it a reality that you can, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to be very critical about yourself. right?
Yeah.
Painting a picture of, I'm going to be a millionaire in a year is amazing. But have you really broken down to the inch of it to say that I have to start with this to become a millionaire, right? Having a really specific, so we have all heard of SMART goals, right? Being specific, know how to measure it. How realistic are you? Are you able to achieve it? Or what is the time you're giving? If I say within 3 months I want to become a millionaire, I have to take a lottery. And even if I'm lucky, I would get it,
Yeah.
right? But how realistic are you with your own goals? Are you aiming for something that you will never achieve? Yeah. So it's more about having absolute clarity in terms of be brutally honest with yourself. I mean, who else can you be honest with, right? So you need to have that very practical, real approach to whatever you do. And of course, as you said, having a specific goal, saying that this is what is. So I said about diary writing, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily I achieved what I wanted in the same year. So when I go back and look at my diaries, if I started in 2010, whatever I have written in 2010, I have apparently achieved everything by 2013. So if I would have given up my habits in 2010 saying that I didn't achieve, I wouldn't have ever, I would have never, ever achieved anything.
That's true.
So it is having expectations. Okay, this time it didn't work. What more can I do, right? Success is not easy. Success has a lot of ups and downs, lots of good and bad. And you need to, all goes back to my own title. What's a mindset that you have towards everything that happens to you? There were months I didn't have business. Yeah, there were times where, in the initial time when I started, that's because I didn't have realistic goals. I was like, oh yes, everybody knows Suja. I'm working in an organization. I started my journey. I was like, I'm a L&D, whatever head, and I know everything, but people don't know me. I think that's one of the things. If somebody is jumping from a corporate world to an entrepreneur, I would say, please build your brand first. Because still you're working for a company, you are under their brand and people will recognize you as whatever head or whatever it is. But the moment you are on your own, you have to become your brand and you have to build up your brand from the scratch. So for me, that was a reality check in the initial time. I definitely had the beginners, like I had a lot of project coming in. But then eventually, when I realized that I need to really build up my brand, that took a little time, but now I know what I am and where I stand.
Awesome. So I think our session today had a lot of mic dropping, scenarios today.
Thank you.
There were a lot of points. Thank you so much for opening up our mind and sharing the tips. I'm sure that many of our viewers will be using it and it will be very helpful for them. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for giving your time and helping me manifest, helping me achieve my manifestation that I had. Thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate this podcast was definitely great for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So that's it, viewers, for today. We'll be back with another guest soon. Until then, this is Kishore signing off.